Look, the issue is this. All right. Beware of overpriced relationships. That's really the big thing. These relationships, they just cost entirely too much. Beware of overpriced relationships. Now, if you've been checking out the feeds lately, you can see that superstars, they just can't seem to stay together. They can get together, but they can't seem to stay together. And they're not just divorcing, they splitting all the way up. So no one on either side of the, you know what I mean, either side of the aisle can really bear it. The relationship has just gotten too expensive. And it's assumed that superstars have money. So the expense is definitely something deeper than money. These is multimillionaires that can't stay together. Sometimes multi-billionaires that probably can't stay together. But it's people with money. It's not just broke people that's breaking up. You get that little wordplay? It's not just broke people that's breaking up, but it's people with money that's breaking up. This happens every day. It almost looks like people are happier single, because when you single, you ready to mingle. You get that stuffiness and ball and chain effect with a lot of marriages. And I'm not trying to down marriages. It was the bomb in our grandparents' day. But a lot of us, by the time we came on the scene, it was already one parent households. I mean, can we keep it real? That wasn't the case with everybody, but look, in a lot of instances, it was. There's a lot of that. It was a lot of single parent households because at the end of the day, it was just too expensive. They had different systems in place, still in place, where, with certain demographics, the man can't really be in the home like that in order for the woman to really receive the benefits, because it's just too expensive to have the couple there together. It's too expensive for maybe the state or the government to get behind that, right? This is why people talk about sovereignty and going off the grid. This is why you have Moorish movements. This is what that's about. It's to keep things from getting too expensive for us, because it's too expensive as a whole. So you assume that these superstars, they got it together just because they got more money, but this is probably all just one big psyop coming from their end, just to keep us all separated. But in any case, people they just can't seem to stay together. It's easy to get together. Check it out. Music from the 70s, that was about family. That kind of R&B. They were talking about, making love, and you're gonna be my wife, and we're gonna start a family, and we're gonna sit back together, and that was the tone of a lot of the 70s music. But the music of the 2020s, it ain't about that. It's about smash and pass and dash and be in the club with Flash. It's about smash and pass and be in the club with Flash. And this is really supposed to be suitable, whether we want to accept it or not. You see, a lot of people don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept the times. And I'm not saying you got to be anti-family, or, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, the reality is that is more split, mixed, and broken families than there are probably together families. At least that's what's being portrayed, and that might be what you see a lot just in the real world, right? What we call online and offline. Although I covered that in another video, that what was once, you know what I mean, offline that's the fake world, and online is the new real world. You know what I mean? Offline used to be the real world, and online used to be the fake world. But it's really the opposite now. So it's just too costly. It's too costly. It costs too much to be booed up. It just costs too much. And mind you, we're not talking about money. It costs in so many other ways, whether it be prior attachments, too much drama, too much baggage, too many damaged goods, too many baby fathers, too many baby mothers, right? Too many exes, right? Right? Folks be still in their lives, right? Still a part of the picture, right? You the new guy, right? You the new girl, right? But it's already a family unit, although that unit broken up, right? But they still want to, they want to start screaming solidarity on the low because they don't want the new person to come into the picture. Yeah, it's just too much. It's too much. It's too many differences of opinions. That's expensive. The responsibilities, those could be expensive. You know what I mean? It's just too much. And even multimillionaires, they just can't seem to hold on, because things cost you in soul when they don't cost you in gold. See, things could cost you in soul when they don't cost you in gold. These is folks getting divorced that got a ton of money. You would think, look, man, 30 million could work it out. But you see people splitting up, even even if they do have hundreds of millions of dollars to throw around the room. These relationships, they're just too volatile now. You know what I mean? Even the best ones. And when a relationship, when it falls apart, what is it? It's nothing but a reminder that it really probably shouldn't have started in the first place. The only true love is self-love. I'm going to say that again. The only true love is self-love, for real. Anything else, just a matter of mutual respect and varying degrees of likeness. You know, we're too career driven to love each other for real. We got too many kids to love each other and give each other that undivided attention. We got too much going on, and undivided attention is really what makes a relationship work. But we're in a world where that is virtually impossible. This is why people start overcompensating. Well, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get my hair done every week, even though I ain't going nowhere and I ain't about nothing. And the guy is like, you know what? I'm going to get me a new pair of J's, even though I don't never leave the house. I'm going to get a new pair of J's every week because the relationship is just too expensive. And so we trying to match it up like, well, like I lost so much already and losing so much already. I got to do me on some level, right? Wrong. You should have just called it what it was or called it nothing. You know what I mean? Stop being you too proud. You too proud to call it what it is. You too proud to call it a slide and glide. You too proud to call it a booty call. You too proud to be a friend with benefits. So you trying to make things, the more official you try to make things, the more expensive it can get. This is why vows are structured in the way that they're structured, for richer or poorer, for sickness and health. So what are you telling me? Even if you find out that this person is a disaster to be with, that with them you just entered into sickness, and with them you entered into poverty, but you supposed to say we supposed to stay with them? I say no, because that violates self-love, and that violates the law of self-preservation. And there's an instinct to protect yourself that's connected to self-preservation. But part of the false stigma that gets placed on these relationships is selflessness, and selflessness is not as good as you think it is. Selflessness is not as good as you think it is. Selflessness does not constitute a relationship. Selflessness constitutes servitude. See, we get conditioned to become the property of another or have somebody else become our property. We use things like culture and religion to justify that master-slave connection that secretly governs a lot of what relationships are expected to be. Truth be told, I know this is a hard one. And it's not a matter of owning someone else or being owned, but it's more about both sides making compromises to keep things equal and even. Mutual understanding, mutual expression. This is what love, relationships, this is what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. But the ugly truth is, things like effort and amount of love shown, that's subjective. Neither side is ever in a position to put that on the other. You don't love me like I love you. Anybody who says that is stupid. Because how can you know? You can't even measure what another person's definition of love is, let alone what their expression of it is. You don't have enough information. Even if the person tells you everything, you still didn't create that person's soul, so you'll never know love like another person knows love. It's not possible. You guys have two different souls. So instead of just keeping it real and being single and creeping around, even if it's just with one partner, right? Because the moment y'all get under the same roof, someone got to be the boss. The moment y'all get joined banking accounts, somebody has to be the boss. Somebody going to need to get approval from the other one before they start spending and making purchases, right? All of these things, all of this subjectivity, all of this subjugation. Why? Because relationships, relatability, relations is just becoming too expensive. So what do I say? Just forget about relating. Just be 100% you. relate to yourself. A lot of people say, I'm going to love myself better. Well, if you just talking that now, you got to wonder why you're not really suitable, because you just now, you know what I mean? And this is no slight, no fault. I'm not throwing any shade on anybody, but I'm saying when you love yourself very late in the game, or if you're just now seeing the importance of self-love, I'm sure you can backtrack and go through memory lane amongst a whole gang of abuses that you endured needlessly. Needlessly. Don't let the hopeless try to push you into a corner and saying that certain types of catastrophes had to happen. No, they didn't. They didn't have to happen. Warnings were missed. So that's why these things happened. But hey, if you don't want to grow, then these things will probably have to happen as a consequence. But just because you get the penalty doesn't mean you're going to learn the lesson. It just means you're going to suffer the consequences, because the relationships are too expensive. Too expensive. Overall, these folks got money. Stay tuned. Look on your social feeds. See who's going to break up next. Super T Sigma. Stay in love with yourself.